Liberty and Iron Maiden, and they could really spread out and force, extra territory flipping.
This is the first time we've seen somebody exploit that center lane. I talk about this every start of a Haas match, and this is the lane I'm talking about. There's nothing to stop them here. This is a single cap point base. Wainwright is far better for the defenders, especially defenders who have air support, than it is for... I'm sorry, far better for the attackers than it is for the defenders. It is an open cap point base, but it is on top of a hill. Whoever is sitting up on top of that hill has the ability to shoot down at anyone who's running up. So that is something where Connery's going to have to push hard and now to get in there and then get people ticking on construction site Epsilon just to protect that split that's going to happen to Fort Liberty and Iron Maiden if Wainwright falls. Now they have... This is where Connery needs to just start pushing. If there is a small cap point base, you need to have people on it. If there is a small cap point base that is not secured, you need to have the majority of your population, you need to have a squad or a half squad forward to the next one, in the off chance that you manage to resecure so you can flip immediately. That is the tactics. Forget the hardcore defense, forget sitting there with a max or a vehicle. You just need to start trying to leapfrog everywhere all at once.
We're watching the Wainwright Armory fight, and it's basically a King of the Hill fight currently. And although we can't see it in the minimap, it's because there's no detection, so the Emerald forces that are coming up this hill, we have no idea how many people are up here. And it's a lot. They do have a decent beacon though, hidden inside the... That's nice, it's well hidden. It can only be barely seen inside the radio antenna. It's providing reinforcements. The Sunder is about as close as they can get it. Unfortunately, it's easy rocket bait. They need Air Force though. I mean, if they really are serious about taking this base, now the threat of course is that they'll lose bases elsewhere, so hold on what you've got rather than take what you don't, which they're trying the biolab. They need to save Lambda, they need to help, they save secure and storage. Lambda probably won't be that hard to save. Beta is a small force, they can probably save that. Kessel's Crossing is the main threat currently that Connery's putting up. I'm going to go warp over there quickly and have a look.
And they have a very good defense going on. They are managing to...
Game referee and all call. 7 minutes remaining in the match now. 7 minutes remaining.
So with that call, it means that no large facilities or large outposts can cap in time.
In time, yeah. And it means that certain bases are eventually going to start falling out of contention as we hit that sub 4 minute marker.
Hey guys.
So to interrupt yet again, I've just updated the stats page with the numbers of the characters if they've gotten their names mapped. So if you all refresh, you can see the numbers of the in-game characters.
Now, Emerald managed a perfect little pincer move here at Kessel's Crossing. They managed to come in from both sides and they put a Sunder up very close to the point. Again, this is just more maxes. It's not quite the Conga line again, but they certainly have more of them than...
Where did they pull from though? Where did they leave? The Wainwright Armory force is gone entirely. And the fact is, and any attack at the Awful Pit, no, there was one there to begin with. So this Kessel Crossings force is going to stay and probably clean up. Do they have the entire team stay? It's hard to say because there's still pressure from Connery from their spawn Sunder. Because this team essentially wants to leave and go to Construction Site Beta and make a save on Construction Site Beta.
A lot of this stuff, it comes down to Connery's learning some of this stuff a little too late, and they're not quite in sync. Here, they had connection to Construction Site Beta for the entire time they were attacking Kessel. If they were making this move now, and had been able to hop their people around, this would now cause quite a problem for Emerald. Emerald would have to hop back and forth, and maybe you could, catch them with leaving some people behind and stuff like that. Without that, it's just going to be, okay, we're going to resecure this to a certain time, and we'll hop out over to Construction Site Beta and deal with that. And of course, Hatcher Air Station is falling mightily. That actually is a large outpost in Can because there was so much taken off the clock already.
And they got a huge number. They really are committing to it.
And Biddle Biolab also can cap in time because it will go down to 3 minutes if allowed to. Now it looks like Connery has gone in to save it. I think this has got to be a pride thing. You held the ball up trying to get onto the point ahead of it and protect it. Go save your biolab. Go, maybe you can't push out and take other things. Don't let them take the biolab, and that's what it looks like they're doing. They're pushing in here. They pulled maxes and are taking the points back right now.
Yep, we're looking at the Hatcher Air Station is the next big threat, though. Yeah, they can save the biolab, but the problem is the biolab needs to be defended for the rest of the whole game until it gets to under 2 minutes, and there needs to be a full save under 2 minutes. We're about to hit the 4-minute marker.
Yeah, I'll go down in about 20 seconds.
Yeah, so I'll have a look at the map and we'll see what bases are left in contention.
Yeah.
Now this is a great example of something that Connery needs to be smart about ignoring. Hurricane Amp Station is ticking. Hurricane Amp Station doesn't matter at all. Let them sit there. That's 6 minutes. It won't even cap with...
Game referee on all call. 4 minutes remaining now. 4 minutes remaining in the match.
Okay,
Get
so
your people out of Hurricane and send
Hatcher
them
Air Station matters. It's 96 plus. We can see that this is the force what really matters. It's a huge enemy force. Well, no, it's a large numbers there, I should say. Awful Pit doesn't matter. Kessel's Crossing at this point does not matter. It's not going to matter. Construction Site Beta, unless in the next 20 seconds it goes back to Vanu, it's not going to matter. Hurricane Amp does not matter. Bytol, it can still, in the next minute, if they get all 3 capture points, in theory, be captured. I think, and the problem is they're losing the points on Hurricane Air Station as well, this being the Emerald Force. They need to get all 3 points if they want to make this happen. So, looking at the bases, Kessel's is now out of contention entirely. Construction Site Beta, out of contention. Hatchery Air Station's probably out of contention. Hurricane Amp's out of contention. And the Biolab is still theoretically the only base that can go through in the
Hatcher
next,
can still go through as well.
if they get all 3 points, which is unlikely. I wonder if the Force Commanders realise that. It's like, send everybody! Oh wow,
The
the
Biolab is
anti-air force on Hatcher Air Station's roof though is real, Zio. There's lots of anti-air burster maxes and lock-on rockets.
Connery, where were these maxes when you needed those last-second resecures? Where were they when you needed to do point holds? Suddenly I see 2 squads worth of burster maxes on a rooftop where they don't matter.
Who knows what roles they were playing beforehand. But that's a very impressive anti-air flat control. They know this is the only base that's potentially in contention, and we're reaching the point now where the Biolab can no longer be captured. So, that's it.
There.
I think we can finally call the score. We've got 2 minutes to play out, so we'll let them have their fun, but I think 64-35 is going to be the final score.
Probably.
I mean, they do NC does have population here at Hatcher Air Station, so it looks like they're going to try and come back.
Small NC Force trying to get them to have their feet on Charlie capture point, but it's going to get underbossed. No, he's not going to underboss. Knifed. And a second knife. Is he going to get him? Oh, he missed a knife. There's a pistol. What's going on? Oh, there we go. His friend saved him. Well, that was horrible hit detection, probably. Right. Nearly there. I think they're just kind of playing it out now. We'll have a quick look while we watch the last few seconds of the leaderboard.
There is a NC squad that is making it almost to the door of C. Oh, this is holy cow! This is way more than a squad. This is the entire NC force here. So it matters whether they can get on that point in time.
The C point?
On the C point, they are an entire platoon of people behind C point trying to push in the
Wow,
door.
that's a killing field.
Okay, guys, the 1 minute mark just passed. So, something impossible.
And they are actually getting chewed up by a very good Connery defense.
Somebody got a flash grenade kill. That's impressive.
30 seconds remaining.
Candy cannon kills went up to 6.
Wonder how many slasher kills?
Have a look.
Game referee on all call. There are 10 seconds left remaining in this match. Almost
190 slasher kills.
Nice.
4, 3, 2, 1. Match end.
Stop the stats.
I did.
Well, there we have it. End of
Yeah.
our first round of 3 game.
The game
65.
referee end result is 64% for NC Emerald against 35 for VS Connery. Congratulations to Emerald.
So their first seeds, they get top pick in the championship game, whoever their opposition may be, and at the moment that could be anybody. It really could, because Emerald's got a fairly convincing win against, well, I say fairly, it is a convincing win against Connery. Connery's now down in points. It's up to Cobalt. It's in their destiny now. If they want to get a win against Miller, they can go through. But also, if Miller, by some miracle, gets an extremely high point win, more than anyone else has got, they could also make the championship match. So it's still all up for grabs tomorrow. But right now, let's see if we can't get our reps. I really want to know the kind of how things were played out and how the Force Commanders led stuff, because this is fascinating stuff. I don't think skill-wise. I mean, look at this. Look at the kill graph. This is the first time I've ever seen the kill graph that close. Look how close that is. Normally there's like a 2k jump or something between the bars, but that is there's nothing in it in terms of kills. So it really comes down to player skill in how they play for the objective, or what vehicles they do and how they do stuff and whatnot. And it comes down to a sort of a tactical and Force Commander level. The strategic Force Commander level, but then also the tactical, how you do stuff in a certain area. But in terms of player skill, this graph here tells me that, hey, we just got equal number of kills.
What do you want from the interviews? The reps and Force Commanders?
Yeah. Yep.
Please.
Justician Alcock, can the reps and Force Commanders only please go to the interview channel? Thank you.
I think one of the things that we saw here was the skill of killing is almost equal, as you said. The thing that makes the difference for Emerald is how they go about attacking a base. They make sure that they have those Sunderers up. They make sure they have galaxies. Whether that's people assigned to do that, or whether it's everyone just knows that, hey, look, there isn't a Sunderer here, I need to go pull one. They are exceptional at keeping themselves in fights, even if they're kicked off. And we saw that time and time again. Connery would pull people. They would kill everyone off the point. They would get all the kills that they needed to, and it didn't matter. Basically, 30 seconds later, here comes the same number of people back from 4 repair Sunderers. They're sitting off in the corner, and this time they brought Maxes, and you can't counter that.
And so, yeah.
In the air as well.
And we're looking at the map base overview at the moment, and we can see that in the beginning, Emerald had a fantastic start. They just dominated right up to the 40-minute marker. It was just base after base after base, taking all the neutral bases, and then kind of a small back and forth with Connery, and so they had a fairly large lead by taking all the neutral territory in the beginning, and then it wasn't until we got to about the 40-minute marker that it sort of stabilized. They started taking more territories, and it kind of went back and forth for about half an hour. So Connery stabilized kind of for half an hour around this kind of branch here where it was going back and forth. They were taking base, losing base, taking base, losing base, and then all of a sudden it just went into another gear. Emerald just cranked it up, and they just pushed the capture points even higher, and for the last half hour of the game, and they just pushed it into their favor heavily. So I see everyone's in the interview channel. I guess we'll just jump in there and give them a chat, see what's going on. Hey guys, how you all doing?
Pretty good. How do you?
That was quite a match, and we saw a lot of great play from both sides. There were definitely moments that stood out to both of us of exceptional play, and I don't know if you guys have been told because you weren't watching the stream, but something that hasn't happened in other matches is you guys were neck and neck as far as kills. It was pretty much even as far as killing people on the ground and in the air. The thing that was different was obviously capping the bases. And Medius, you were the Force Commander for Emerald. What was your strategy? What did you set out to do right from the opening to conquer this continent?
Well, we just made sure we had people doing forward caps. We made sure we had people that were in position to be kind of redundancies if we need to redeploy side. These lattices are really complicated. You don't get to kind of easily jump from north to south.
Did you have like a pressure team, like an infiltrator group that was just being nuisances, forwarding base caps?
We had a nuisance squad. I think you probably saw them at the beginning at Nason's and then at Hatcher for the rest of the game. Loved them. Also, so that was D117. Big shout out to them. As for like infiltrators, we didn't have specifically that. We had some skirmishing guys that occasionally would get called in to maybe set things up. But it was the platoon leads being very responsive and thinking ahead that got a lot of this done.
And I guess the other question is, see your command structure, right? I mean, being the force lead is one thing, but with so many lanes, so many battles, did you delegate a lot of like roles and responsibility to other people? Did you say, hey, such and such, your platoon leader or whatnot, you've got access or control of the whole south, you just do what you need to do it? Or like, how did that kind of relationship work there?
I micro a lot, and I'm really bad. Sometimes I'm really bad at that. I think about the hour and 30 mark, I was getting a little jumpy, and Lem managed to calm me down there. But I do keep tabs on where everyone is. I actually have a new battalion UI set up in front of me, which is
nice.
incredibly user friendly. Totally not.
Is this like something you've made yourself, like a piece of software or like a UI or something, like a map or something to keep track of where everyone is, or what?
It is 36 dice on a printed table.
Nice. I was gonna say, because we've said this before, you ever seen the Battle of Britain thing with that kind of fighter command HQ?
Pushing things around, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, see, that's what you need. That Planetside Force Commander is a completely separate game. It's like Force. It's literally the game Force Commander.
Now that makes it easier, and I absolutely would beg SOE to get something like this in game, because it would make Smash so much more. I don't know.
Funny you're talking about that, because I was having a discussion the other day where, there was a Reddit post about lots of Phase 1 implementations. And one of the things was like squad improvements. Now they added the thing where it was kind of more new player friendly and joining and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I think we wanted, and I'm not sure how, because it's live first before anything like Server Smash, but I was like, wouldn't it be great if you could merge all your platoons into one giant battalion? Have multiple kind of force leads or beacons or waypoints, or God forbid the ability to draw giant phallus penises on the map because battle plans. That's what people want. That would be very, very useful, at least in the Server Smash sense.
Now, one of the things that we certainly noticed in this is, Connery, you claimed that you weren't going to have much air and you had a lot of trouble getting air. The air fights seem to be very, very neck and neck, and while the tactics were totally different in what they were using, whenever we would run into the Connery air, they were absolutely doing work and killing a lot of people up there. Can you talk a little bit about how many people you had up there and what you were trying to utilize your air to do?
Pretty much we had the standard 48 platoon going in there as air. Instead of focusing on air to ground on a match like this, we were purely focused on air to air. So like when we were trying to take a base or defend the base, neutralizing galaxies was a big deal, and a lot of times what ended up giving Emerald the tip in the balance was the fact that they had galaxies over the point on some of these bases that have a long distance in between point, much like Broken Veil and Hurricane Secure.
See, that's the thing, because
pretty much all they were focused on.
We were looking at Gurney Dam a number of instances. I mean, Future Crew, and there was a few other outfits. Unfortunately, it's the only one that Redland mentioned that I could have heard. But the nature of the capture point is that there's such a long runtime for the spawn rooms. We thought, if ever, Connery had the Air Force and Lanza was telling us, no, they definitely have an Air Force to help with the ground, that would be the base, because you were so close to capturing Gurney Dam time after time. What happened there?
They did well in terms of when they had a chance to get there and mop things up, they could. But a lot of times, whenever they got engaged by the Emerald Air, we were actually getting down for quite a bit of the match. My Air Force was ground.
There's
I noticed that.
In terms of using them effectively, at that point, it's more about, okay, well, now we use them to keep us from getting farmed majorly by air, rather than sacrificing them into a possible base that may or may not go.
So one thing I wanted to know is, your air definitely seemed like it was in Cobra mode. It would strike, and then it would pull back and wait, and maybe engage at long range. I wanted to know do you felt that helped, that worked, or it was just the wrong circumstances?
I think it's very effective on a map like this. I mean, another thing that we were dealing with is that, like with our current server population and the way things are going, it's becoming increasingly difficult for a server of our size to fill 288. Like, we don't have two teams of people to pull from here. So going into a match with close to 24 down, our air was one squad down, I believe, close to. I know we got closer. We kind of reached out to some of our Japanese players, and we had some players in there that didn't even speak English, but you know what? They were flying for us, and they were doing pretty well in their Scourge's League.
Now, how do you feel the opening went? What were your goals in the opening? And did you get what you wanted, or did you lose stuff that you really kind of hinged your battle plan on?
Gurney Dam and I forget what they renamed it for the Halloween stuff, but the Hunter's Blind. We needed those and they didn't go through. And a lot of our weight that we were able to throw around was going to come from that. So not getting that on the open was pretty much the turning point for us right off the get-go. Like, we didn't care about the Bella, we didn't care about Nascents. Like, for us, we were just going for a good opener that gave us the minimal amount of lanes that we could have. So, if we managed to take those 2 bases like we should have, that would have put us at just 6 lanes to defend while we can constantly harass 9. But instead, it flipped it vice versa for us, and that's where things got shady.
Now, Emerald, this is the second time that you guys have put up an Air Force, and I mean, I've said it before. You used to be all very anti the air, or at the very least, you couldn't get the air, so you said that you were anti the air. What's it like to have an Air Force, and how does it fit into the well-known Emerald meta?
It's really nice to have the ability to call in logistic skills, to hunt down enemy logistics, and to be there before redeploy side takes place. I mean, redeploy side is the meta, and if you know redeploy side and you know when to bring in extras of whatever force you have going in, that's pretty key. It's very nice to have. I think Pizza has something to say on this matter too.
Oh, if I may break in here real quick, I gotta say it's helped me a lot with my PTSD from the frickin' Cobalt match. It's beautiful.
So finally having your own Air Force helps getting hammered by somebody else's Air Force.
I don't cry anymore.
And that's a huge... That's basically thanks to Wycliffe Slim, or Wycliffe Lime. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Here's the question for both you guys, right? Tomorrow, we've got Miller versus Cobalt, and in theory, any of the 3 servers can make it to the second round team, second place team for the championship match versus Emerald. What are your expectations of the game between Miller and Cobalt?
Cobalt by a landslide.
By a landslide, you say?
Taking second place and going into the finals.
You willing to put money on that?
Miller, I think Miller can develop the team to be as competitive as Cobalt is right now, but they need to do some working on that.
Yeah, our last smash with Cobalt were very, very good, and we just got a few good breaks, so I'm sure they've reorganized themselves. They're going to be amazing.
Alright, well, looking for it. So, I don't want to go into assumptions right now, but you're thinking Cobalt will win, and that it'll be Cobalt that plays you. Presumably, you get first dibs now on, that's right, isn't it, Redland? Is it you get to pick faction, warp gate, and or map?
Yes. Basically, the map. As long as whatever server you face, you cannot face them on the same map you have fought them before. So I believe you guys faced Cobalt on Ezimir, which means you wouldn't be able to choose Ezimir as the map, and then you would get choice of either Warpgate or faction, just like a normal coin. It's basically giving you the coin flip on.
So it's the advantage for being the championship winners, or sorry, the group winners, that you get 2 choices out of the 3 potential options.
That, however, won't be us, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, you do alternating teams.
You rotate, yes.
I see.
So it won't be a rematch. It'll be a new match for Cobalt.
Indeed.
On the assumption, we're just assuming here, we want to be neutral. I would be very pleasantly surprised if Miller pulled it off by some miracle. Or, Connery, you might, I don't know if you really want to, but, have a rematch with Emerald if Miller wins really heavily but not heavily enough. You never know. Anything could happen.
So, is there anything that we haven't covered here that you guys would want to talk about before we head out and wrap this up?
I had a slight oopsies at the beginning of the match where my graphics card decided that running my antivirus at the same time as the game and 2 comm channels was not going to happen, and I had a bit of a 4-minute downtime as my game crashed and I started screaming.
I had that. My PC crashed as well during mid-stream, so that was interesting.
Yeah. So Lemgar very gratefully picked up command for the 4 or 5 minutes, so I was out and cursing very loudly, being very upon hysterical.
We could hear.
Yeah. it was locked.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, guys, for playing with us today. And Emerald, we will see you in 2 weeks' time when we know more details about the game. Me and Redland, we're going to jump out the channel just to kind of end this game, end post-game show. Congratulations on your victory, Emerald. Commiserations, Connery. I think that's it for the games with Connery, unless you want anything else in the future. And we'll talk to you guys in the future in the forums and whatnot, kind of flesh out how we do stuff in the future. But well done, Connery. Thanks for playing your 3 games. And let's go, Redland. We'll jump out and we'll see you in a few weeks, Emerald. Okay, so that's that. Somebody wants to say something, so give us 1 second here. I do believe it's the Emerald. Here we go. 1 sec.
After 2 incredible hours of blood and nanites, going undefeated through round 3 in this tournament, with their 3rd win by majority territory control, Emerald United!
Thank you, Nanners. So that was his loving pre-recorded yes, there is one for Connery, but we're not going to play that. It's his pre-recorded victory shout out. So, Emerald undefeated. Something tells me that crown's going to be on their subreddit for some time.
They are so good at what they do. And it's not that there aren't kinks in the armor, it's that they have figured out a way of playing that other servers cannot match.
They're so fluid in how they move around. It's like they flow like water while everyone else is tumbling like rocks. It's just that smoothness of how they get to where they need to be when they need to be there and applying pressure and just getting what they're after. And factor in now that they actually use an Air Force, there isn't really that much need for a ground team, vehicle-wise, outside of just Sunder spawning. And we saw a couple of Vanguards, but that's it. It's really just down to their air working in fairly well synergy. We heard what they were saying, the Connery guys, about how, we had an Air Force, we were focusing on anti-air, but I still saw lots of, Air Force being used by Emerald, ground pounding, and being super effective.
And that's the thing, you watch throughout that match, and Connery started learning how to take advantage of some things. They never were able to put it together into capturing territory that allowed them to get back into things, but they would see, look, they put those vehicles on the point. If we put those vehicles on the point, we stand a better chance, and they would get closer and closer, or they would even cap the base and take some certain...
Well, that is another point, isn't it? There is the force commander and his platoon lead's strategic level of where you put people, what bases you choose to attack, and how you provide extra reinforcements. But then there's the tactical level, where yes, there's the skill level of the player killing kills, but the tactical level is how you tactically attack a base. So for case in point, at Gurney Dam, originally it was just you drop on it with, ESF drops, but then you brought in harassers, then you brought harassers and sunders. Those are all tactical decisions. How do we physically take this base? And tactically speaking, Emerald is also extremely good at being able to choose how to take a base. They know that we need this Sunder combination, or we need this Air Force assistance, or we need what they need for a certain base. They do their homework, yeah.
And all it's going to take, whoever faces them in the championship,